Mr. Shiva Raman, former DGCA official, joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Raman, what do you make of the ongoing situation? Because this once again has put the spotlight on the need for better security parameters, better SOPs perhaps that must be followed. Though the reason for the crash has not been revealed as yet, there's no formal communication that's come through. But these are, of course, very relevant and obvious questions that come to one's mind. But of the ongoing situation, as rescue operations are on war footing, what do you make of the entire scenario, sir?
Now, as far as the ATR aircraft is concerned, there has been several crashes and several incidents, and a number of fatalities have been reported. Therefore, first of all, as far as the Indian DGCA is concerned, he must immediately order all the aircraft operating under various airlines here should be checked thoroughly for all the systems, whether they are functional, whether there are any failures or any kind of defect which have been noticed by pilots earlier before they are allowed to fly again. Because to me, it appears that there has been a mechanical failure in this aircraft. Mechanical or navigation failure, we do not know. But it seems from the picture that have been coming on the screen, I feel that there has been a mechanical failure. Without that, I don't think such a major crash would have taken place. Okay. It would have been beyond the control of the pilot. Now, secondly, what is necessary is whenever an aircraft takes off, before that a thorough check is done and an engineer gives a certificate that he has done all the checks. And besides that, the pilot also carries out a number of checks. But apart from that, one has to look into the history of the aircraft which is flying. Whether it has been repaired properly for any deficiency seen earlier, whether there have been any major defects noticed. So these things are all relevant in the case of such crashes to be seen very carefully. And then only one can come to the conclusion. But in this particular case, I feel it is beyond the control of the pilot. Otherwise, he would have somehow tried to rescue the aircraft. It seems that there has been a complete disastrous failure of some mechanical system inside the aircraft. Otherwise, it would not have crashed like this. So it's a major responsibility on the part of the inquiry commission which has been appointed by the Prime Minister of Nepal to go into all these issues, not only into this crash of this particular aircraft, but of the several other crashes that have taken place due to mechanical failure, engine flame out in the case of ATR 72.
Okay, all right. Stay on with us, sir. We have a breaking news update coming in, so quickly putting out those details. This is, of course, with regards to the visit of the Prime Minister of Nepal, who was to assess the ground situation. Now, his visit, along with that of the Deputy Prime Minister and Home Minister, has been postponed for now. So that's the latest coming in. For now, the Nepal Prime Minister's Pokhara visit has been cancelled. It's been slated for later. He was to visit Pokhara because very close to Pokhara and Kaski is where this crash has taken place. And given the latest that's coming to light via official channels, we're being told that the Nepal Prime Minister's visit for now has been cancelled, perhaps postponed for a later time. So yes, though the Prime Minister continues to monitor the situation, closely assess the situation on ground, and rescue operations are on a war footing. This is the latest coming to light. If I could once again go back to Mr. Sivaraman, but before that, a quick update coming in as well on how the Prime Minister has, in the meanwhile, constituted a 5-member committee to probe the crash. Like I was pointing out, that's the effort that's being put in by the government's end to make sure that investigations are carried out in its fullest. And the government of Nepal, apart from having declared a one-day national mourning tomorrow, because this is a big loss for the entire country. Remember, there were foreign nationals on board as well, but Nepal has decided to set up a panel to investigate the cause of the Yeti Airlines crash as well. A 5-member commission of inquiry will be probing the plane crash. So that's the latest coming in with regards to the investigation. But if I could quickly go across to Mr. Sivaraman once again. Sir, now you're telling us that looks like that there was some sort of human error that is to be held responsible. Now, there can be a couple of factors attached to that, isn't it? If a pilot doesn't plan the flight properly, the flight gets into bad weather or doesn't anticipate issues, then the airplane crash can happen. These are very obvious questions that are bound to be asked.
Correction, I didn't say human error. I said it was a mechanical failure.
Mechanical error, okay.
There could have been a major mechanical failure. Otherwise, the pilot would have tried to recover the aircraft from any kind of situation, because they're all trained to do that. So this would have been a mechanical failure. Earlier, ATR aircraft 72 has suffered several mechanical failures. There have been several crashes. There has been also engine flame out. In the case of ATR, I went into the Google and search for the various crashes of ATR aircraft, and I found there have been several crashes.
So, Mr. Sivaraman, are you questioning their reliability or their safety record?
No, I'm not questioning the reliability, because every aircraft has got some problem or the other at some time. It depends upon the way in which it is maintained also. These ATR aircraft have been there for a very, very long time, and they have been very successfully flying in India also. So what is required is whether this particular aircraft has been attended to properly during the checks, during its maintenance, during its overall, whether anything was left behind so that such a catastrophic failure had taken place. I mean, we are assuming that there must have been a catastrophic failure because there was no weather issue there at that particular point of time, because one could see the aircraft flying very clearly. So most probably it would have been a catastrophic failure of some system in the aircraft, either the ailerons or the rudder or the elevator, something has failed. So that must be the reason, and therefore one has to go into the history of this aircraft. Normally, whenever any aircraft crashes in a country, one goes into the entire history of the aircraft from the date of its purchase till the date of its crash. Because there is a maintenance of all records, all parts that are going into the aircraft with the concerned airline, and the DGCA has got access to all these things. Nepal has also got a DGCA. They should go through everything concerning the aircraft.
But Mr. Sivaraman, has the ATR 72 aircraft, which is widely used in India as well, you have Air India flights being operated by this aircraft, Indigo, SpiceJet, all of them use the ATR 72 aircraft. In that sense, if there are technical problems that perhaps are being reported on a daily basis, has any of that been communicated to the DGCA as well in the past?
Normally, small technical failures or technical faults do not get reported to the DGCA India.
Okay.
Now, see, whenever we go into the safety audit of an airline, it was I who laid down the safety audit for the first time in this country, as far as in the world you can say. I laid down the safety audit of all private airlines. When we do the safety audit of an airline, they go into details of all the aircraft in the possession of that particular airline, how they have been maintained from the day they came on record into the in the airline's book. So that is how they verify it, whether the aircraft are being maintained very properly or not. And similarly, the pilots have also got a responsibility to report any defect seen during the course of their flight. Any mechanical problem, any navigational problem, any electric or electronic problem, they record it immediately, and as soon as they come out of the aircraft in landing on a particular place, they inform the airline. These are the defects that have been noticed. Before the flight also, the engineer gives a certificate, all systems are normal. The pilot also carries out a large number of checks before he takes off. So therefore, adequate precautions and safety measures are there as part of standard operating procedure. Somewhere something might have happened. In various crashes investigated by FAA, by other agencies also, it has been noticed some of the defects do not come to the notice, even during normal checks or overall of the aircraft. Sometimes they suddenly emerge. This has happened in the case of 737, it has happened in the case of 747 also. So one does not know what has happened in the case of this particular aircraft unless one goes through carefully from the day it came into service with this particular airline and see what were the repairs and maintenance carried out in this aircraft, whether there was any problem during the repair and maintenance, whether there was something missing during that course. So it's a very detailed study has to be made on this.
Okay, a detailed study has to be made, and what's important is also how the flight track data can be retrieved, the air traffic control transcripts can be obtained, sometimes the aircraft record and flight data that can be recovered after an accident, all of that.
Yeah.
Right, all of that is now important to ascertain what really may have happened, because that's going to bring out the communication that also took place in that crisis moment, perhaps minutes before the crash. Okay, sir, stay on with us. We have another update coming in, and this is the reaction that's coming from the PR of the Central Nepal Police. We spoke to Mr. Tekrai. Here's what he said. Listen and viewers.
अभी रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन चल रहा है. डिटेल अभी तक नहीं आया है, कितना उसको उद्धार किया है, कितना उसको जोखिम हुआ है, तो बाद में आ जाएगा. अभी और रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन चल रहा है.
अच्छा, नहीं, ये एयरपोर्ट के पास में हुआ है कि ये रनवे के पास हुआ है? एयरपोर्ट के कितने पास है ये जगह?
एयरपोर्ट से ये करीबन 7 किलोमीटर, अराउंड 5-7 किलोमीटर होगा.
अच्छा, तो आपके पास जो इंफॉर्मेशन है
हमारा,
हाँ बोलिए.
ये हमारा डिस्ट्रिक्ट पुलिस हेडक्वार्टर से 10 किलोमीटर के पास है।
अच्छा, तो ये आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन आया कि ये जब क्रैश हुआ था, इमीडिएटली आफ्टर दैट एज वी आर सीइंग इन द विजुअल्स, एक इमीडिएटली क्रैश के बाद देयर वाज अ मैसिव ब्लेज, आग लग गई थी वहां पे।
हेलो,
हाँ,
तो आपका वो है ना साउंड अच्छा ना है इधर।
अच्छा, तो पूरा आग लग गया था वहां पर।
हाँ, नहीं अभी ऑपरेशन चल रहा है ना वो।
तो ये रेजिडेंशियल एरिया है, क्योंकि हमने देखा जब आग लग गया था उसके इमीडिएटली बाद काफी सारे रेजिडेंट्स आ गए थे वहां पे।
ये
वहाँ के लोकल लोग।
इसके नजदीक रेजिडेंशियल एरिया है, उधर सीताराम हाउसिंग है, हाउसिंग एरिया है, इसके नजदीक है।
अच्छा, तो नदी के पास ऐसे बहुत काफी लोग रहते हैं वहाँ पे। अभी सिचुएशन क्या है वहाँ पर, आप बता सकते हैं?
और अभी रिस्क ऑपरेशन चल रहा है, ये है।
Okay, Mr. Sivaraman also continues to stay on those who are currently indulged in the ongoing rescue operations, and given the magnitude of the impact that can be seen, you can see how, fire kept raging on for the longest time. Not quite sure if they've been able to completely bring it down as well. What do you make of the survival chances? We're being told, if we go by certain local reports, that certain survivors have been rushed to the hospital. But given the magnitude, what do you make of the situation, sir?
No, see, I have seen two major crashes in India during my time. One at the Palam in Delhi airport itself, another one in Manipur. The chances of survival of these patients depend upon their own fate. That's all one can say. People have survived falling 20,000 feet from an aircraft. So this is a major crash where I think the plane has literally exploded, because one could see the flames raging sky high and the fire is still burning there. So the chances appears to be quite remote, but still, maybe one or two they may survive. One can't say. It all depends upon their own fate. But no, I won't appeal to the DGCA, current DGCA of India, as well as other DGCAs everywhere, that it is time that they carry out full check of ATR aircraft before they allow them to fly again. Because one does not know what has been the cause of this accident. If similar problems are there in other aircraft, unknowingly, which have been gone without detection, then there may be other crashes also. So now, at least in India, because there are several aircraft flying, most of them have been flying very well, they must immediately carry out the checks.
Okay, all right. Immediately must carry out the checks, sir. This is being seen as one of the worst air crashes in Nepal in the last 30 years. So Times Now continues to get you more and more details and really help our viewers understand what may have transpired, and most importantly, if at all we do see any survivors come out alive after having defeated this crash. Thank you, sir, for speaking to us. We need to head on a very quick break. We'll be right back.